Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus, bringing you the Chef's Choice in weekly gaming news for November 2nd, 2015. So I actually thought I would have a lot more news to go and report on this week, with this past week going and having contained the Paris Game Week, but that doesn't appear to go and really be the case. It actually was overall kind of a scant news week, but there were some interesting tidbits of news that came out here and there. So to begin, first I'm going to go and start by going over some of the points from Sony's Paris Game Week press conference that I thought was actually pretty interesting. There was a lot of montages, a lot of things that we've gone and seen before in that, but there were a couple interesting tidbits of news that went and came out for it. So first off, for fighting game fans, Street Fighter V went and received a release date. It'll go and be launching on the PlayStation 4 and PC on February 16th, 2016. And in addition to going and getting the release date, we also went and got the announcement of yet another character returning to the series. And that is Dazlum, with an interesting new look that he's going and sporting this time around, as well as some awesome new moves. So as he's always been one that's been fun for me to go and play ever since Street Fighter 2, I'm looking forward to going and seeing how he performs in this new title. And well, really all the characters, I'm really looking forward to going and getting my hands on that one. Another fighting game announcement that went and came out from the Sony press conference was also Tekken 7. It will be going and coming to the PlayStation 4 in 2016. So right now Tekken 7 is available in Japanese arcades, and has apparently been getting some pretty decent reviews overall. I myself have never really been a huge Tekken fan, but I'd be interested and willing to go and give this one a shot when it goes and comes out as well. That'll be sometime next year. So after that, we went and got a little bit of indie game news for a few titles here and there, and one of the big pieces of news that I went and pulled from this is No Man's Sky, that super ambitious space exploration title, finally goes and has a release window. So they're going and targeting releasing No Man's Sky in June 2016. They didn't go and give a release date, but just said June. So hopefully, they'll be able to go and stick to that, and then we'll go and see that title sooner rather than later. I'm really excited for that one. In addition to that, House Marquee, who you might possibly go and know for some titles like Super Stardust or what's that other one? Well, there's also a twin-stick zombie title that they've gone and done on the PlayStation 3 when announced a new title, Matterfall. But all we went and got was this awesome cinematic trailer that didn't really go and show us any kind of gameplay. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to go and see what kind of game it was, but I am excited that they're going and doing another title, as I've gone and loved Super Stardust and Resogun so much. So they're definitely one developer that I'm going and willing to give the benefit of the doubt to. In addition to that announcement, then afterwards they went and moved on to a really large section going and talking about PlayStation VR. And there were several titles that were shown, title announcements. I'm still kind of on the fence whether I'm interested in going and ultimately trying to pick one up, or if I'll just go and wait and see. That's so much still needs to go and be determined there. I really need to go and give one a try myself, so to be able to go and determine whether it's something I'm really interested in or not. But that said, it was really interesting to go and see, and if you're interested in PlayStation VR, you should definitely go and watch that segment of the press conference, as it went and had a lot of interesting looking titles and ideas that were presented there. Afterwards, towards the end of the press conference, they went and announced the next title in their long-running popular Gran Turismo series, Gran Turismo Sport. No release date given, so it's possible that we'll go and see it sometime next year. I believe there is a beta plan for it sooner rather than later, so that's definitely promising. And to go and finish off their press conference, they went and ended with Quantic Dreams going and announcing a new title for the PlayStation 4 named Detroit, based off of the Kara tech demo that they went and did with that AI that they were going and building a few years back. I believe, I can't remember exactly when that was at, but I think that came out before they even announced Beyond. So if you're a fan of Quantic Dreams titles, then that's definitely one to go and keep an eye on. If their reports of everything going and being captured in-engine were correct for the trailer video they had, it also goes and looks amazing. So there's definitely that to go and look forward to. And that pretty much goes and sums up what were the highlights for the Sony Paris Game Week press conference to me. It was interesting, but I was really hoping for a lot more new news. There were a couple massive omissions that were standing out to me, such as nothing about The Last Guardian, which I don't think there really wasn't anything at the Tokyo Game Show either about that one, which is worrisome. Is that one, it's like, is it really going to happen? Is it's not? Until that game goes and comes out, it's definitely still suspect. And then there was also nothing about the Vita. It was completely absent from the press conference, and there were no announcements for any new PlayStation 4 features going and coming out. There's been the rumor that PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 Classics are going to be coming to the PlayStation 4, at least playable through the Classic method, but that hasn't necessarily been confirmed or denied at this point either. So was all this promise of news there, but ultimately I feel like the press conference was a little on the disappointing side, which is too bad, but it was still enjoyable to go and get that little bit of gaming news and hype at a time of year when we normally don't go and get this kind of thing. So I definitely enjoyed it, and I would encourage you to go and look at any parts of it if you're interested in some of the news that I've gone and mentioned. Moving on to our next piece, this piece goes and refutes one of the items that I went and mentioned on my news show last week, and that's that Sony is no longer developing any first-party titles for the Vita. Sony Computer Entertainment Europe head Jim Ryan went and had an interview with VG247, and in that interview he went and stated that that news is incorrect. It was either a misinterpretation or a misreporting, and that Sony still is indeed going and supporting the Vita with first-party titles. They're just not going to develop any AAA grade titles. They would likely go and be smaller titles as is. But there were no titles listed to go and back up this claim. So I'm a little bit dubious about that. Like, give me some titles and then I'll go and be happy and excited about you guys are still going and supporting your console. But until then, I'm still going to go and be a little bit skeptical about this one. Though, if they are still going and supporting it, that's great news because the Vita is such a beautiful platform. So let's go and hope that Sony goes and continues to go and support the Vita for a long time yet to go and come. Alright, so going and moving on to the next little bit of news, we've got some Nintendo news to go and report on. And this one is... I've got really mixed feelings on this one. Nintendo earlier this week went and announced their first mobile title, Miitomo, which appears to go and be a social media app based on Tomodachi Life. So the basic idea is that you go and create a Mii for yourself, and then you go and have these social media interactions, chats with other individuals that are going and using the software worldwide. It definitely goes and looks on the simple side, and as is, I'm not 100% sure really where the market is for this kind of an app, but well, hopefully Nintendo knows what they're going and doing with this. So there's definitely that. The other two pieces of Nintendo news from this week as well, though, are Nintendo's new rewards program, basically the Club Nintendo replacement, is going to go and be My Nintendo. And similar to Club Nintendo, it's going to go and give you points for going and buying titles, but it's also going to go and reward you with points for playing titles as well, although I don't know how that's supposed to go and work. In addition to the new My Nintendo, it'll be tied in, which will be tied into their new account system, simply titled Nintendo Account. That will be accessible from all the major possible platforms you could assume. Mobile, PC, or Nintendo consoles will be able to go and access your Nintendo account. Excuse me. Kind of going and unifying Nintendo under one account. Finally, basically going and taking their going and taking their Nintendo ID one step further to maybe the level of a PlayStation Network account or an Xbox Live account. Let's go and hope that that's the case. They are planning on going and adding support like cloud saves and that sort of thing. So the future for Nintendo is definitely going and looking up in the digital realm. Hopefully that goes and comes to pass. Moving on from there, I've got some more news about Yorunai Kuni / Knights of Azure, basically an update of sorts. So this week we did go and get an official North American release announcement from Koei Tecmo. So the title is going to go and be coming out courtesy of Koei Tecmo on March 29th, 2016. And I have an update to my Europe release date. In my video last week I went and said that it was going to be coming out on April 4th. That was incorrect. It's actually going to be coming out on April 1st. So the same week, just the usual release dates, Tuesday, Friday. This is one that I'm definitely going and looking forward to, and I hope you are as well, as it definitely goes and looks to go and be an interesting action RPG. And, well, Gus titles, while not perfect, are definitely enjoyable for what they are. Alright, next up, we've got some visual novel announcements to go and finish up with the day. The first one is just a small little blurb that went and came out via Facebook from Visual Arts, the parent company behind the Japanese developer Key, that has gone and made such well-known titles as Canon and Clannad for the PC as well as other platforms, some of the best highly regarded visual novels out there. They went and announced that two of their visual novels, Little Buster and Tomoya After It's a Wonderful Life, are going to go and be getting official English localizations. So there are currently fan translations available for those, and this is the interesting thing, is the localizations are going to be based off of those fan translations. I'm assuming this is going to go and be done in association with Sekai Project, who's been working with Visual Arts on their other titles, Clannad and whatnot, going and bringing those to the US PC market, Steam, that sort of stuff. But nothing else has been mentioned aside from just the little Facebook post. So definitely some more news will be going and coming forth from that one, hopefully. But it's still nice to go and see that the US visual novel market is going and growing at really a rapid pace all of a sudden. It's exciting. Really, really exciting. And that goes and brings me to my last topic of the day, and that is Maburavu. So, an update on the Kickstarter, as of the point of I'm recording this, there's about 36 hours left in the Kickstarter campaign, and at that point, the original asking amount that they were looking for was $250,000. At this point, they've earned over $1 million for this Kickstarter to go and bring the Maburavu trilogy to the United States. North America. They've already hit all of their stretch goals. Every single one that they went and put in there has been met. We're going to be getting physical PC and physical Vita editions, as well as the two side stories that went and released on the PlayStation 3. Those will also go and be getting localizations, although no platform has been necessarily listed from those. I'm assuming PC, and I don't know if they'll be available on the Vita or not, so that's something that'll have to go and come out news-wise later. Still, it's exciting that they were able to go and hit every goal that they were going looking for and just blow this thing out of the water. That's amazing. And in addition to that, there's also a news from a couple weeks ago, but Maburavu trilogy was also announced as going and coming out for the Vita on January 21st. I don't know if that's necessarily related to the Kickstarter or not, but the timing is more than a little bit coincidental in my opinion. Still, it's one that is one of the most highly rated visual novels out there, so it was one that I'm really going and looking forward to going and playing when the English localization goes and comes out. So, alright. There we have it. That's our news for this week. As always, if you go and have any news articles that you would like me to go and consider reporting in my next week's news show, please leave those in the comments below. Or if you have any other suggestions for improvements or changes that I can go and make to my news program or its format, I would also love to go and hear from you. Or just love to go and hear from you in general. Please feel free to go and drop me a comment below. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me for the weekly gaming news today, and we'll see you again next week.